Okay. So the first unit you have determinate structures and indeterminate structures. Determinate structures are that is the difference between determinate and indeterminate structures. Determinate structures, that is you have the equilibrium equations. It can be the unknown reactions can be found out using the equilibrium equations. So what are the equilibrium equations? Sigma h is equal to 0. So whatever we are discussing is includes the multiple choice questions also. So we have to carefully attend multiple choice questions. I will cover everything, entire unit. What are the possible multiple choice questions? I will cover today, and the part C questions also. So you will have 10 part A questions. You have to answer within 20 part A questions. You have to answer within 20 minutes, and 20 part B questions. You have to answer within 40 minutes. Then remaining 1 hour, you have to write the 4 questions in 1 hour and uploading extra 20 minutes. So totally 2.5 hours you will get, and 2 hours you have to finish the exams. So carefully listen what I am discussing now. So determinate structures are analyzed by the use of basic equilibrium equations. What are the equilibrium equations? Sigma h is equal to 0, sigma v is equal to 0, and sigma m is equal to 0. So if you are able to analyze and find out the unknown reactions using the determinate basic equilibrium equation, then we call it as determinate structure. Otherwise, we call it as indeterminate structures. So determinate structures, for example, the simply supported is a determinate one, and that reactions you can find out using the equilibrium equation. But in the case of fixed beam, it's not like that. It's you can't find out the reactions using the equilibrium equations. So that is called indeterminate structures. But the advantage of determinate structures are given here. The moment will be less. The moment will be less, and you need less material. That's the advantage of if we compare here, simply supported beam PL by 4 and moment is PL by 8. So definitely numerator is bigger, so this moment is less than when the moment is less, you can go for the thinner section. That's the meaning. So just to read all these things, what are the difference between the determinate and indeterminate structures, and just go through. And the other possible multiple questions are, suppose if I give the load like this, the continuous beam like this, and I ask you to find out the equivalent joint load. So what is the meaning of equivalent joint load? For example, equivalent joint loads are equivalent joint. So for example, for this one, if a load is given P is equal to 10 kilonewton. So what is the equivalent joint load at A? Equivalent joint load at A is equal to the reaction is PB by L, and the moment is PAB square by L square. A and B are given in the diagram. So suppose if I ask, if the load is like this, point load is applied at the center, and I ask you to find out the equivalent joint moment, then what is the joint moment? Moment is PAB square by L square, and the reaction is PB by L. Suppose if I ask you to find out that the end B, this joint, the second joint, then you will have the moment from this beam and the other beam also. So from this beam you will have a moment PBA square by L square, and this one, that is UDL, it is WL square by 12. So you have to subtract and find out the net moment, and the reaction also you have to find out PA by L plus W by 2. So this is the possible multiple choice questions you can expect in 2 marks. This is one of thing. And suppose if I give the unit rotations, unit displacement at the end, there is a fixed beam, unit displacement at the beam. If I ask you to find out the stiffness matrix, then what is the stiffness matrix for this one? Stiffness matrix is this column, the first column. Suppose if I give you the value of unit displacement is given at A, find out the stiffness coefficients. Then you have to write 12A by L cube, 6A by L square minus 12A by L square and L square. This one, this is for the unit displacement at end A. The second column is unit rotation at end A. Third column is unit displacement at end B. Like this I have shown in the view. This is unit displacement at end A. So you will get the first row. Then this is the take this one. This is a unit displacement at end A. This is the unit rotation at NB. So unit rotation in the stiffness matrix, you will get the second matrix. And similarly, I can go for the Hello, sorry, I had some net problem. Something happened to my system also, so I have to switch off and then switch on. Okay, so we will continue. So we have stopped here. Suppose if I give a unit displacement at this end, that is the right end B, at the end B, then what is the stiffness matrix? Stiffness coefficients are this column, third column. And the fourth column is, if I give the unit rotation at this end B, what will happen? That is at the end K. Here it is noted as K, J and K. If I give the unit rotation at the end K, what are the stiffness coefficients is? This is the fourth column. So these are the possible multiple choice questions. That is, you can get any one of the questions from here. If I can ask what is the stiffness coefficients if a unit rotation is applied at the end A. Unit rotation means second row, second column. Unit displacement means it is first column. Similarly, like that you have to follow. Suppose if the continuous beam, there is no yielding of the support. Yielding of the support. What is the meaning of yielding of the support? This support is, for example, this support can sink. It can settle down because if the columns are not strong or the foundations are weak, it will have a sinking. That is, it will settle down. So if there is no settling down of the supports, then you will have only two displacements. Possible degree of freedom are the one is the vertical this vertical reaction is resisted and the moment also resisted. There is no displacements here. If the settlement is there, then the vertical displacement will be there. That's the meaning of that. Then if just look at the sentence, just look at this sentence. For a continuous beam problem, the supports are unyielding, that is no yielding, that is to say no sinking, then only rotational degrees of freedom are available. Only rotational freedom are available. This rotational freedom stiffness coefficients are 4A by L, 2A by L, and 2A by L, 4A by L. Because there is other things are restrained. So that's the meaning of that. Then suppose in this beam, if you take this beam, can you find out the degree of freedom? Someone can tell me degree of freedom for this one. Degree of freedom. How many numbers of degrees of freedom? So that's a very important question. How many numbers of degrees of freedom? Tamri Selvan, can you tell me how many degrees of freedom for this support? That is, if you take a beam, this is, let us take, this is a continuous beam. Let us take, this is a beam. So the possible degree, you should note the word difference between the word possible degree of freedom. So possible degree of freedom are, it can rotate, it can translate in the vertical direction and moment. So 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7 and 8. So it will have a degree of freedom vertical rotation. Suppose here it is restrained, here vertically restrained, here it is vertically restrained, it is vertically restrained, and moment also it is restrained. So restrained degree of, suppose if I get the question, restrained degree of the restraints, number of restraints means what are the number of restraints? Possible degree of freedom, possible degree of freedom is 2, 4, 6, 8. Possible degree of freedom, DOF means degree of freedom is 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. So number of restraints are, here it is restrained, and the vertically it is restrained, vertically restrained, here vertically restrained, it's a fixed support, it is restrained. So restraints are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So restraints are 6. Suppose if I give the member in the second unit, if I give the number of members in a continuous beams are the 3, what is the possible degree of freedom? What will you do? Number of members 3, 1, 2, 3. So number of member is equal to 3. So possible degree of freedom is, possible degree of freedom is 3 into 2. Each support you will have 2 degrees of freedom. So 3 into 2. So possible degrees of freedom was how many members? 2, 4, 6, 8. Sorry, possible degrees of freedom is number of joints. Number of joints, and number of joints is equal to 4. So possible degree of freedom is 4 into 2, 8 is equal to 8. Possible degree of freedom is 8. So in that one, so you look at the difference. The possibility is 8, but I have restrained. Restrained. How many degrees of freedom? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So restraints are 6. Restraints for this one. And degree of freedom for available for this structure is, what is the degree of freedom available? Rotation, this rotation, this rotation, that's all. So degree of freedom for this structure is, degree of freedom for this structure is 3. That is 2, 4 and 6. Degree of freedom possible is 6. But possibility is 8. Among 8, some things are restrained. So if it's a fixed support, what are restrained? Vertical is restrained and moment is restrained. If it's a hinge support, then what is restrained? Vertical is restrained. Vertical is restrained and it is free to move, free to rotate, free to rotate. So these are the very important questions, multiple choice questions. And the first unit, you have to be careful. You should know what is the meaning of possible degree of freedom and the restraints, and what is, if suppose if I give the number of members and number of joints, then what is the possible degree of freedom? So possible degree of freedom is number of joints into 2. Suppose if it is the same question, if I ask for the frame, then for the frame, the degrees of freedom is, you have to use a horizontal components also. 1, 2, 3, here it is 4, 5, 6, then it is 7, 8 and 9. Here it is 10, 11 and 12. So in this one, if you take the, here only degrees of freedom for joint is 2, here it is 3. Horizontal moments also you have to consider. So if in that case, the possible degree of freedom are 12. Possible degree of freedom are 12. But for this structure, this is restrained, this is restrained, it's a fixed support, this is restrained, everything is restrained. Only 5, 4, 6, 8, 7, 9 are free. So these ends are free. So the degree of freedom for this structure is 6. And possible degree of freedom is 12. Among that one, some things are restrained. How many degrees of freedom are restrained? 6 are restrained because this is a fixed support. So it is restrained. Okay. Any doubt in that one? Degrees of freedom, it's a very important thing. That is the first and second unit. I have to ask many questions from degrees of freedom and restraints, because in the computer program also it is very important. Okay. Anything is there, you can clarify now itself. Then what is the equilibrium equation? Force equilibrium equation is P is equal to Ku. P is equal to K. K is the stiffness matrix and use the displacement matrix. P is the load vector. Load vector. This you have to know. Then that's a equivalent joint loads you have to study. That is for the point load, and the for the UDL you have to know. This formulas you should know. This is a formula you should know. So that's all. That's all for your first unit. Then this question you have to study. That is how to solve the continuous beam. That is, I may be asking you to find out the global stiffness matrix or the global load vector. This is for the part C question. Global load vector or the global stiffness matrix, or I may ask you find out the stiffness matrix for the first beam and the second beam, or stiffness matrix for the first beam and the load vector for the second beam. There's a difference between the word global load vector and the local load vector. Global load vector and the global and the local load vector. That also you should know. Okay. So that's this is a part C question. Already this also I have uploaded in your thing. And if you do the assignments, then you will be able to study easily the part C questions. So whatever we have done in the class, the assignments and the test questions, if you study, then part C will be easy. So I'll move on to the second unit, that is the computer programming. So computer programming, we have done some. So here the possible questions are I will ask you to compute. For example, I told you that is, if I give the number of members and the number of joins, then what is the possible degree of freedom of a join, number of justice, all these things. Suppose if we take this problem, what is the degree of freedom? The degree of freedom for this structure, that is not the possible. For this structure, degree of freedom is only 3. Only at this junction only you will have the degree of freedom, because this is restrained. 1 is restrained, 2 is restrained, this is restrained, then 3 is a horizontal is restrained, 4 is restrained, this is restrained. Only this junction you will have 4, 5, 6 and 7, 8, 9. So possible degree of freedom for this structure is 3, and possible degree of freedom for this structure is totally how many? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Possible degree of freedom is 9. How many restraints are there? This is restraint, this is restraint, this is restraint. So number of restraints is 6. Number of restraints is 6. Suppose if this end, if I, instead of this this fixed end on one side and it is simply supported on the other side, then here you will have a moment. That is, if you number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. In this one is restrained, 2 is restrained, 3 is restrained, 4 is not restrained. That is 4 is not set. It's not a roller. So 4 is restrained, and 5 is restrained. 6 is allowed because it can rotate. This is a hinge support. So theta is available. Here theta is equal to 0. Here this end can rotate. If it's a fixed support, this theta will be equal to 0. Theta is equal to 0. Rotation is not allowed, but simply supporter rotation allowed. So this 6 is available. So total degree of freedom for the structure is 7, 8, 9 and 6. So total degree. For this case, it is degree of freedom is 4. So these types of questions you can expect in the multiple choice questions. Okay. And I'll give you the programming, that is how to find out the number of degrees of freedoms and total degree of freedom, restraints, all these things you can expect. And in the big questions, that is the part C questions, whatever we have done in the assignments, you have to study. That is how to write a program, how to calculate the length of the member, how to formulate stiffness, but all these things if you study, it will be enough. So concentrate on the questions what I have given in the assignments and the unit test. That's enough because I have covered all the portions what I have given. That's your second unit, and the third unit is 35 only. It takes some more time. Reformulation of shape function, introduction to pendulum analysis. So in this one, I should know what is the meaning of continuum and what is the meaning of finite element analysis. So by the background of the structure class. Background of the structure you need not study. Just this is for your information how it is being developed. That's what I have. So what is a finite element method? The finite element method is a computational method developed by engineers used to obtain approximate solution. This is not the exact solution, but if you are making many nodes, if you are a number of nodes are more, then you can get the exact solution. That's a meaning. So finite element is a computational method to find out approximate solution of engineering problem. That's the meaning of FEM. And there's a word between the continuum and discrete model. What is the continuum? Continuum is a entire. Suppose if this is a continuum. This is a continuum. That continuum I have split into small members, small meshes. So continuum will have an infinite number of degrees of freedom, but the finite element model, that is discretized model, will have finite number of degree of freedom. That is, each node you will have a one degree of freedom, and it is a finite one. But if you take a continuum as a whole, then it will have a infinite number of degree of freedom. That's the meaning of continuum and this one. So all these things are so how we this and all I have explained, and say there are different boundary conditions. One is a Dirichlet boundary condition that we call the essential boundary condition. Dirichlet boundary condition is otherwise called as essential boundary condition. So it depends upon the boundary condition, whether it's a fixed support or simple support or like that. Then another boundary condition is the Newman's boundary condition. That is a load boundary conditions. That depends on it indicates the load and the strain, all these things. The boundary conditions are the Newman's boundary condition are the natural boundary conditions. And here, if you take the element type, that is 1D elements are used for the trusses and 2D elements for the beams, analysis of beams. For example, 2D elements, triangle elements, quadrilateral element, triangle element, then 8-noded element. All these things are two-dimensional element which is used for analysis of beams, and this is used for the analysis of trusses. So that's a difference. So truss means you will have an axial compression or elongation. If you take that one, the nodes I can consider different nodes. So I can consider one node here, one node here. So for example, I can consider one node here, one node here, but it's a linear one. It's a linear line. This is a 1D truss element. So 1D truss element, I can find out only the axial compression or tension. Axial compression or tension. Axial compression or tension. This is the thing you have to find out. Okay. So what is the difference between 1D element and the 2D element? 2D elements, you can only find out the axial compression. 1D element. If it's a 2D element, you can find out the other things, that is the displacement and the rotations also you can find out. So that's the meaning of that. Then so that's all. Then the shape function for the bar element and the beam element we have learned. So the bar element is, the shape function is what is the relation between the stress and strain? The stress is equal to Young's modulus into strain. This is very important. Stress is equal to Young's modulus into strain. So that is the meaning of the stress strain. So we have derived this one, and we have derived the shape function of a bar element. What's the shape function of bar element? It is n1 is equal to 1 by x by l. Suppose if I gave the value of x and l, you will be able to find out the shape function at a particular point of x. So if it's a bar element, you will have a node of this one, and this is the shape function. That is, this is the length of the member is this one. I want to find out the shape function at this point, means I'll be able to find out using this one. N1 is equal to 1 minus x by l, and N2 is equal to x by l. So we should know these two things. What is the shape function for the bar element? 1 by x and 1 minus x by l and x by l. So that's the thing. And bar element. So using the finite element analysis, how to solve a problem, that we have done one assignment. This is same as the stiffness matrix, only the binder, but how you are getting the stiffness matrix beta transpose A beta. What is beta? Beta is equal to differentiation of the shape function. Differentiation of the shape function. Beta is equal to differentiation of shape function. This is also important. So that's all. I think this unit, this problem you study for the part C question. So this is a shape function for the bar element. You should know bar element, and this also I have uploaded. This is what I have taught you now. Then this is the shape function for the beam element. So any one of the questions you can get the shape function for the beam element or the bar element. So this is a big question. So whatever you have done in the assignment and class test, if you study the part C question will be sufficient. Class. Unit. Next unit, we have learned about next unit we have learned about that constant strain triangle element. So in that one we have learned 10 minutes. Ah. So you should know that this is the strain displacement matrix. Strain displacement matrix. The relation between the strain. There are two types of strains. One is the normal strain, and the shear strain. So normal strain means it is perpendicular to the surface, and shear is the tangential strain. This is represented by the letter epsilon. Let us take epsilon xy or gamma xy. You can take it as gamma xy also, and this is the normal strain. This is x direction. So this is the y direction strain, sigma y, epsilon y. So how they are related with the displacement function is, the relation with the strain displacement function is this one. Strain is related with the displacement function. U is the displacement function. So dou u by dou x is equal to the strain. So strain is nothing but the differentiation of the displacement function with respect to x-axis or y-axis. So this is the way it is being related, and this is the shear strain. Shear strain is how it is related. That is gamma xy is equal to dou u by dou y and dou b by dou x. This is a displacement function in x direction, and v is the displacement function in the y direction. So they are related. This is the xy plane, then this is the yz plane and zx plane. Then we will move on to the plane stress problem. So this is the relation between for the isoparametric material, the relation with strain and the stress. The strain and the stress are related by this expression. Sigma x is equal to epsilon x is equal to this relation. And the relation between the shear stress and shear strain is this one. Shear stress. This is the shear strain. This is the shear stress. So this is the rigidity modulus or shear modulus. Shear modulus. So they are related like this. This is also other things also. The YZ plane is, that is tau xy, sorry, tau YZ divided by G. This is the relation between shear stress and shear strain. The relation between shear stress and the shear strain. So when will you go for the plane stress analysis and plane strain? When they are very thick, then you will go for the plane strain analysis. Then this is a very important derivation for the constant strain triangle element, and we have done it with the Cramer's rule. Suppose if I give the value of how will you find out the temperature at any point? That is, I have given the temperature at this nodal points 1, 2 and 3. If I have to find out the temperature at 7 and 6, I'll be able to find out using this formula. That is, suppose if in the question, that is in the 2 marks questions, I give the values of temperatures temperatures at the nodal points. The nodal points I give and ask you to find out at any point, then you have to use this formula. That's N1 plus N2 plus N3. It's a triangular means N1 plus N2 plus N3. That is, if you take this one, the temperature as I have given at the nodes T1, T2, T3 I have given like this, and the shape functions values also, if I give N1 value and N3 value for a particular point, shape function at a particular point, that is 7,6, and ask you to find out the temperature at that point. This is a nodal coordinate 7,6, and if you ask you to find out the temperature at this point by giving the temperature T1 and T2 and T3, you will be able to find out the value of the what is that the temperature at the point 7,6. So these are the 2 marks questions you can expect. So then you should know how to solve the problem of using the temperature stress, that is temperature stress or the displacement. The quantities may be the temperature or the nodal displacements also. In this particular problem, I have given the temperature, the nodes. I can give the displacements also at the nodes. So these are the part C questions. So we will move on to the fourth unit. Sorry, fifth unit. So the fifth unit is about the quad 8 element, the quad 5 and quad isoparametric mapping. So isoparametric mapping is nothing but it's the mapping of the structure from imaginary element to the ideal coordinate system. That is real element to imaginary element, real element to imaginary element. So this is the real element, and this is the imaginary element. But in the imaginary element, the values ranges from -1 to +1, -1 to +1. That's the meaning of that. And this is a shape function for the quad 4 element. So you should know the big questions. The possible questions are shape function for quad 4, quad 8 and quad 9. So these things you should know for the part C questions. And what is the relation between the strain in the that is how they are related, that is the real and the imaginary element, how they are related using the Jacobian matrix. So that also we have. Then the gas quadrature. Suppose if I give the values of it is divided into 2-point quadrature, 3-point quadrature. Suppose if it's a single point quadrature, what is the weight? The weight is 2. Single point quadrature, weight is 2. If it's a 2-point quadrature, then the weight is 1. If it's a 3-point quadrature, the weights are 5/9. Suppose if I give the values of x1 and x2 and x3, 3-point quadrature, then the weight, how will you find out the integration of this one? You have to find out this x1 point into this point, and x2 into this point, and x3 into this, that you have to substitute and you have to find out. We have done a problem in the class, so you'll be in a position to know. So in the last unit, the shape function of quad 4, quad 5, quad 8 and quad 9 elements are very important. So these are things you should. So I think time over. Next hour, I have told her, ma'am. I told ma'am. So any doubt you want to clear? What about Mikyas has joined? Or otherwise you download. If he hasn't joined, then I don't know why he didn't join.
I'm here, ma'am.
Yeah. So if you're having any doubt, you ask me. So have you submitted all the assignments what I have given? Assignments and the test questions? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. You uploaded?
I sent you on the chat.
Don't tell me in chat. What you have to do is you
Uh,
have, I'll show you. There you upload, because that is a chat. If you're sending
okay.
suppose if I'll show you Teams, go to Teams, and for the particular subject you can go. Yes, sir. You can go to the files, or class materials don't do it. In the assignment, you go to assignments, you open it, and then you upload file. So already Kritika and Jagan, they have uploaded, and create in the go to assignment, then you upload it. Okay. That
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
RGB also. Okay. Tamare Selvan, you might have missed some of the assignments initially, no, since you have joined late.
Ma'am, I uploaded, ma'am.
You uploaded. Okay. Okay. Then no problem. I'll just go through. And next week your exams are starting. It's at from 9:30. No. What is your first exam? First exam is?
Construction. Prabhu sir, construction.
Prabhu sir. Okay. You study well, and the pattern is?
Ma'am, what's the timing, ma'am?
9:30. First part A, it is for 20 minutes. So you will get 20 questions.
No,
And
no ma'am. I mean,
2 hours.
no.
Totally 2 hours. Totally 2 hours. In that
9:30 to 11:30, ma'am.
9:30 to 11:30. Yeah. And you will get the team code, and you have to join through the team code. That Prabhu sir will arrange, and he will contact you. And mine, I think it's a third exam. And do well. If any doubt is ever, especially with Tamare Selvan, because you have joined late, Tamare Selvan, Mikyas, and RGB. If you are having any doubt, you contact me. If you want me to take any special classes also, I'm willing to take. Just inform me. Okay. If you want any clarifications, you can contact me over WhatsApp or phone. Don't make calls often, but it's just to send a text so that I can go through that, and if you need it, I will help you. Okay. Okay, I think with that I can close today, because we have covered what are things, possible things. I told you how to study all these things. Mainly concentrate on what we have discussed for the multiple choice questions. Okay. So first 20 questions you have to submit within 20 minutes. That will be over. You have to just submit within 20 minutes, and the second 20 questions you have to submit within another 40 minutes. So you should not submit at the end of the 2 hours. It's not like that. It will be close time will be every 20 minutes and the next 40 minutes. And the part C questions you will have 1 hour, solid 1 hour. You have to sharply stop at the end of 2 hours, and uploading time will be given extra 20 minutes. So that's the way you have to do it. Okay. Okay. Shall we close? Any doubt is there for you? Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll meet in the next semester. Okay. Thank you. Wish you all the best. Study well.
Thank you, ma'am.